Okay, so first of all, I would like to say thank you for joining us for in this event. So I believe that many people, all of you guys, you have own your activities, your own online meeting, or maybe your family gathering, and a lot of things. So I believe that all of you still value about the educational discussing and learning process. So welcome to Educators Meetalk Special Editions. It organized by KRIA. So before we start the sessions, let me introduce myself. My name is Aditya from Indonesia, and then my partner.
Hello everyone. First, welcome to our Educators Meetalk Special Edition. So my name is Ahlam El Ahmadi from Morocco, working in a work to learn program initiated by KRIA. So thank you for attending our webinar, and I hope to enjoy together and learn new things from this webinar. Thank you, Adit. Adit is my partner, and we will be moderating this special edition in Educators Meetalk 2021. Thank you.
Okay, so we are pleased to welcome you in this Educators Meetup. So surprisingly, we are having a lot of registered participants. It will be in 1,500 participants. So we will waiting the rest of participants will be joining us soon. So we know that all we appreciate it that your time and enthusiasm for today's event.
So now we have speakers from different parts of the world this night, and we'll be talking on the topic of the Educators Meetalk Special Edition, which is cultivating creativity, initiative, and innovation through problem solving. So after the closing session, you will have the opportunity to receive an e-certificate for your participation. So we kindly ask you to stay on Zoom meeting till the end. So at the end of this session, a feedback form and e-certificate form will be shared in the chat room. Please fill it and submit it, and your e-certificate will be sent to your email. So if you have any questions during the presentation, you can ask it in the blank. So using Slido, and at the end of the speaker session, me or Adit as moderator would invite some of you to activate the microphone so you can ask your questions and direct it the speaker you want to ask. And lastly, we really appreciate if you could give feedback at the end of the session.
We will also like to recognize our media partner for today Educators Meetup Special Edition. It is supported by KRIA Academia, Ruang by KRIA, Majelis Brunei, King Entrepreneurship Institute, My Savvy Tutors, Happy Co-Creative, Indan Nonprofit, Arkansas Trust, Asians Foundation, and SL2. So Educators Meetup Special Editions is a platform to inspire everyone to share and learn together about the implementations, design, strategy of the specific issues in education. So in these editions, Educators Meetup will be connected with the World Creativity and Innovation Day initiated by the United Nations. And it handled by the Remote Work to Learn committees, which is me and Ahlam and Ed. It is an international voluntary program initiated by the KRIA, consists of 15 youths from 9 countries. So without any further ado, I would like to kick things off by sharing and introducing what KRIA tells about. Mr. Antonius Malambarus, the time is yours.
All right. Thank you so much, Adit and Ahlam. Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for coming and joining us at this moment. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to all of you here. Yeah, I have to say that because I saw the data, the registration data that you come from so many countries. So I guess maybe you still wake up, or maybe now you want to sleep, and you're still waiting for joining this incredible session. So Educators Meetup was initiated because of we want to give another perspective about the education that related to creativity and innovation. All right, so at this moment we have a special edition. So this in this special edition, this educators meetup was run by is run by the Work to Learn. That is a volunteer program that run by Korea. They are coming from 9 countries, and all of them is 15 youth. So what makes this special also because we connect with the celebration of World Creativity and Innovation Day as well. So we hope that we can learn together. So Educators Meetup in 2021 will be held every 3 months. So if you want to join us and you want to submit as a speaker, feel free to join. So in this session, we welcome everybody to submit their idea, and then we give them a stage to share about any kind of best practice and idea that related to the education. All right. So again, I would like to thank all speakers at this moment. Suzanne from Malaysia, Turner from Singapore, Axel from Switzerland, and also Muhammad Abrar from Indonesia. We hope that we can learn together. And I think this is very comprehensive because we will not talk about the educators' side only, but also the students. I mean, the students means that the one who are in the practical life, how to practice the creativity, how to be more initiative, and what about the innovation through the problem solving that we face every time, every day in our life. So again, we hope everybody enjoyed the session and happy learning. Thank you so much. Back to you, Ahlam and Adit.
Thank you, Mr. Anton, for a very welcoming remark. So this is true. This is Educators Meetup is designed as a sharing sessions, so to inspire educators about the update of the educational topic. So we cannot wait to share to all of you about what we have done. Okay, so as the avenue for learning, so we encourage everyone to listen attentively and be able to take note of the question that you may have as we will have a questions and answer sessions. So we really hope to hear from of you and our participant. Please do share your thoughts and comments in the Slido using this link bit.ly/em question. So with this format, your name, country, name of speakers, and your question. So for example, like me, I'm Adit, Indonesia. I would like to say to ask to Mr. Abrar, what do you think is the best way to start a business? So something kind of like that. Or you can also ask any questions that you want related about these presentations, or maybe you want to ask something that already keep it in your mind. Okay, so we will be posting the format for your questions in the chat room. If you would like to ask your questions directly, please use the raise your hand function and wait until me and Ahlam acknowledge before posting your questions. So we encourage you to turn on your camera when doing so. So we can also do a networking sessions by sharing your ideas and experience in the chat room during the sessions. So it's really open for you. So feel free to ask. If you have any questions, just type them and we will read and deliver to the speakers. So please write the questions and mention the name of the speaker that you would like to ask. Okay, so before hearing stories from our speakers, let's meet and know who they are. So for the first speakers is Sir Sternerland. He is from Singapore, but currently works as a head of international collaborations, National Tsinghua University, and the principal of digital transformations Foreign International School. Turner is an international speaker and researcher from a college of the education, National Tsinghua University. He is very interested in sustainable educations, especially in helping learners develop competencies to stay employed in Industry 4.0. Say hi to Mr. Turner. Okay, so for the next speaker is Muhammad Abrar. Muhammad Abrar is the Abang DKI Jakarta 2019. He currently works as the CEO of the Bamboo House Indonesia. So Bamboo House is a social enterprise platform committed to establishing collaborations with local artisans and the community to produce sustainable furniture, constructions, and home decorations made from bamboo. Bamboo House successfully export its product to the European market and currently expand its socials engagement through community empowerment and educations. Please welcome Muhammad Abror.
Hello, thank you very much, Mas Adit.
Okay, hello. So we next to the third speaker is Miss Suzanne Ling from Malaysia. Suzanne is the founder of the Pizza Eats, an impact-driven business that aims to serve delicious meals and enable change among the communities through food. Founded in 2016, Pizza Eats partnered with chefs from a displaced community sharing their delicious cuisines from their home country, including Palestine, Syria, Pakistan, and Afghanistan to the conference, even home and more. Whatever delicacy you choose to include in, all meals are lovingly prepared by the pizza chefs, enabling them to put food on their tables as they put food on yours. Give hi to Suzanne.
Hi everyone, nice to be here.
So we are moving on to the next speaker from Switzerland is Axel Zutz. Axel Zutz is the founder and the CEO of the Blue Column Corps and founder of the World Innovations Forum Foundations, a highly engaging executive with exceptional entrepreneurial experience and an undisputed visionary. He always thinks beyond the normal. He is a rule breaker without breaking the law and a notorious disruptor. Hello, Mr. Axel.
Hello, I'm actually really happy to be here. Thank you very much.
Sure. So now we are moving on the one that we have been waiting for. I'm pretty sure there's a lot of participants here that just can't wait to hear stories or experience from our speakers from Singapore. Mr. Sternerland, the time is yours. So you can start your screen now.
Thank you, Adit. So let me share my screen first. Okay. Okay, first of all, I didn't expect that I'm supposed to say a few words after Adi introduced me the first round. So anyway, I'm making up for lost time. So hi, everyone. My name is Turner. And right, so I'm very, very happy and actually delighted to be invited to this Educators Meetalk. So when I first met Antonius and team 2 years ago, right, it was by a chance occasion. Somebody recommended to Antonius. And then it was like 3 months before we actually met because our timings clashed. And when we first met, Antonius was telling me, are you going to be a vendor that's selling me a program? If not, please go away. Don't waste my time, you know? So I'm glad I managed to convince him that I'm not. And that's why we are still talking and I'm still here. So anyway, just let me move on. I know I'm aware of the time, so I'm keeping track of the time. And I'm pretty sure for all the teachers, COVID-19 has actually made all of us so good at technology that we should be given a master's for technology use, all right? So a little introduction about myself. So I've been a teacher or educator since 2006 actually. And then with the Ministry of Education in Singapore, then I was there for about 5 years. I got sick of the system. I went to do my master's. I came back, became a teacher again. And then 5 years, I got sick and I resigned again. And then I went to the private sector. And so what you can see here is my experiences actually in the last 5 years. I have actually progressed a little bit more into out of a classroom teacher, but I'm going more into professional development. I am very, very keen on helping the lower academic as well as the underprivileged children to seek employment in the new industry. And I think that these are the groups of people that actually need help. So in my travels, I go to a lot of third world countries like Peru, Vietnam, and really just to speak to them is really a chore, listening to what they have to offer. And then when I do come back to Singapore, you are like, wow, we are taking many, many things for granted. So you can see that here I actually have a lot of icons, which is about my academic journey as a learner. I don't put it here to show off to everybody about where I've been and so on, but I just want to share with everyone is that I was very fortunate to have such an illustrious journey of education. But what is interesting is, to be honest, it doesn't really make sense at all in my work. It just opened doors. But then other than that, people are like, oh yeah, you're studying in this college. Wow, you're from here. Wow, you're from there. But at the end of the day, when you're trying to talk to people, they're like, nah, education stays the same, you know? So let me share a little short story. So recently I saw my father. So my father is 65 years old this year. So I saw him teaching my nephew, which is 5 years old, right? So he was preparing stacks and stacks of assessment books. And then he was like, okay, now you got to read the book. Now you got to do math. Now you got to do science. Now you got to memorize idioms. Now you got to start reading. And then I went up to him and I said, hey, what are you doing? And he was like, yeah, I'm teaching my grandson. I said, yeah, but that's not the way to teach. You are actually just loading him with knowledge. You are treating him like a sponge. And then you're just telling him this is all the things that you want him to learn. And then after that, when he can produce whatever you want him to produce, and then you say, wow, he's a good student. So along the way, if he's not paying attention, he will get scolded. And then when he tries to ask question, my father will be like, shut up, don't ask question. Then my nephew will be like, I think, and then my father will say, you don't think. I tell you what to think. You don't think. You just listen to me. So it was this thing that I went up to my father and then I told him, I said, hey, look, what are you doing? You know, I'm trying so hard to change education. I'm trying to tell people that there's a new way of learning to engage the learners. And then you are telling me that, oh, all this is useless. So my dad's answer to me is very simple. I have 3 sons. All of them are graduates. So whatever I've done is successful. You can't say I'm wrong. I gave up. I just walked away. Okay, I gave up and I just walked away. Right. So anyway, let's get to the crux of today's talk. Right. So today's talk is about problem solving as the big picture. And then we talk about innovation, initiative, and creativity. So what I've done is I've created a seesaw. On the left is content. On the right is competency. Now, to me, in my path of an academic, I think that innovation, initiative, and creativity are actually soft skills. They are necessary competencies that we need to inculcate in the learners, because in future, they need this to create problems and solutions. I'm sorry, maybe not create problems. They need to create new solutions to problems that have never existed before. So we think of them as creators. Whether they use technology or not, it is irregardless, right? Technology is just an enabler. So what is a misconception to me as an academic is that very, very many academics or teachers are actually looking at problem solving as just a content. When you teach them a subject, for example, problem solving is most frequently linked to mathematics. Simply by the word solve problems, that's mathematics, right? I gave you a word problem, you can solve the problem. Wow, you are a good problem solver. Okay, so I put there as content. We teach the children about what is addition, what is subtraction, multiplication, division, differentiation, integration. These are all content. We are teaching them how to use and solve problems with all these tools which are preset. But when you apply in a real life setting, do you think that the addition and subtraction numbers will always be there the same? So as an engineer, right, I have to calculate what is the amount of force that the building can take, that the soil can take if I want to build a building on top of the soil. And then we have to measure the amount of soil, we have to talk about the type of soil and so on. My university days never teach me, oh, Turner, this is marine clay. Marine clay can only do this. Or this is hard clay. You can only do this. We really have to go aside, and then we have to innovate. We have to take initiative to even find out, is there different types of soil? Or is it only just one type? Or is there like, how many people do I want to stay in that building? Can it be for 10 stories, 20 stories, 30 stories? And then comes the creativity part, right? Would you want to build buildings that are 20 years old? The design is the same. How do you entice the people to actually spend money to look and upgrade to our new houses? And then after that, of course, it's innovation. When we talk about innovation, now we talk about smart homes. Or when people come in, they put their finger on the lock. They no longer use a key. They just use a key lock, the digital lock. Or your TV, we are talking about smart TV, Google Wi-Fi, IoT, Internet of Things. Now, if there is no innovation, all this will never happen. We will still be living maybe as creatures of the wild, you really know, like living in caves, or we may even be living in maybe at the 1800s or the 1900s. So these are all necessary competencies to move us forward, right? Especially in Industry 4.0. So I'm going to ask a little question here. Look at this. I took this off a World Economic Forum chart, and I just identified 9 careers here. 3 of them is in red, 3 of them is in gray, and 3 of them is in green. So what is the difference between the red, the gray, and the green? Right? Now, owing to the shortage of time, I'm just going to give you the answer straight. Now, the careers in the red line, these are what we call mundane jobs. These are jobs that are repeated over and over and over again, and they most likely can be replaced by technology very easily. Robots, for example, autonomous driving, right? Robots welding. I think we are all tuned to what is actually happening now in the world with IoT. What about those in gray? This is very interesting. So those in gray, they are in maybe or maybe not. So you think of a policeman, right? A policeman cannot be too creative. Imagine you tell him, okay, your number 1 rule is to save the people. And then he's like, okay, by saving the people, I kill all the bad people. That's being creative, right? That applies problem solving. But I think that brings out another problem because he's being the judge himself. So these are, I would say, these are areas where they would have to really toggle between the 3 skills of innovation, creativity, as well as initiative. Now, comes to the last part. I really love this part the best. Accountants, analysts, and computer scientists. So I am going to just use accountants, right? This is really for the joke. So accountants. Now, if we look at all the automated software out there, there are many software that can capture your spending, which is your credit and your debit. So this is what normally an accountant does. But what can a human do that supersedes a robot or a program is the fact that we can do creative accounting. So if you're all bosses of a company, what is the number 1 thing you want? I want to make money, right? As much as possible. What is the number 2 thing? I want to pay as less tax as possible, right? Come on. I mean, we all believe in that. So a robot can never do that. A robot will just file according to the rules, how many percent, and you're done. But if you're a human, you can, okay, maybe my deliverables, I can push it 6 months later. I can pay first and then I deliver 6 months later so that this year I don't make so much money and I pay less tax, right? So to me, this is the difference. Initiative, creativity. Okay, so, and I see all this, right, is really related to STEAM education, okay? Really because the traditional way of education, we are looking at content. But in the new world, we don't focus on content. I'm not saying that content is not important. What I'm trying to say is that in the new world, we need to teach them how to use the content. So we are going 1 level deeper. We are trying to tell them that, oh, all this information is now on the internet. How can we actually use it to suit us, to suit our needs, to solve problems? That's what we need. And of course, I took this off OECD. So why is there, what is happening in the world now? We talk about is a VUCA world. So we are three big changes: environmental, economic, and social. And VUCA stands for volatile, uncertain, complex, ambiguous. In short, every day new things are happening so fast that it's never the same like yesterday or the past 10 years. So we really need to think how we want to solve the problem in the best possible way to us. How we solve the same problem in Indonesia will definitely be different from how we solve the same problem in Singapore, in Taiwan, or even in Canada. It's really because of our culture. It's really because of the way of our mindset and the way we see things, right? Okay, so I'm aware I have 3 more minutes. So Industry 4.0, now this is going to be a little challenging and mind-boggling for some, because I'm talking about a few things. We talk about knowledge, we talk about skills, we talk about attitudes and values. So knowledge, I think we all have, is just content. Skills is the part where we talk about the cognitive skills, we talk about the metacognitive skills, ability to think, how to think, ability to relate to people, the social and emotional part. This is the part that sets us apart from robots, right? And then finally, attitudes is the one, attitude and values is the one that determines who you are, your principles. And that's really important when we talk about ethics, right? So I'm just going to end off with this. If there are educators in this room, there are 2 big groups as educators. When we are designing lessons, we talk about the concept, the content, and the topic. And the other end is we talk about the process. Now let's look at the one on the left first. Concept, content, and topic. These are things beyond us as educators. Why? Most of the time, this is already determined by the Ministry of Education, whether of the respective countries, wherever you are from. We cannot talk about the rigor. Wow, we cannot say the lesson is too long today, we want to shorten it. We can't. But what we can, as teachers, what we can take ownership is the fact that the process is owned by us. How we deliver the lesson, when we deliver the lesson, how do I engage the students? So that is really important to me as educator, because when you build a good relationship with your peers, with your students, right? This is where the whole bond learning exercise comes about. So I just want to end off with this. Educator is actually now in the new industry, we are going to be the agency of change. We should be the one that's driving change, really, because if we want to ensure that our students graduate and are able to find a job in the new industry, whether it is 4.0, 5.0, or whether I'm looking at the what they call the data transfer. Sorry, suddenly I can't remember. Now we are looking at the speed of data is going to be so fast, and things are going to change the way it's going to change our lives. So we need to drive this change first. Then our students are able to see where the change is coming from before they can adopt and embrace it. Now, I just want to end off with a little a link here. I've actually given this link or this article to Adit. He can share with all of you later. It's about why soft skills matter more than hard ones in the world today. So this is actually an article by Straits Times Singapore, and it is about how the changing values are coming with regards to the world needs or industry needs, as opposed to how education is looking at these needs. So feel free, we can talk more later if you are interested. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you so much for Mr. Lam sharing a lot of information and amazing experience. So actually, I already sent the link in the chat. So if all of you guys want to know more about the reference that Certainer gave to me, so you can check on your Zoom chat. Okay, so one thing that I really adore with Mr. Lam, so he said that educator as the agency of change. So we believe that it's not only about the institutions, but it's the way how we teach the young generations to become able to survive in the industry 4.0, which is knowledge, skill, attitude, and values. So feel free to ask in the Q&A session for Sternerland after this.
Thank you, Mr. Sternerland, for this amazing explanation. And we really learned new things from you. So now we're moving to the next speaker who comes from Indonesia, Mr. Muhammad Abrur. We really want to hear his sharing. So Mr. Muhammad Abrur, the time is yours. Please, go ahead.
Okay, thank you very much, Ahlam, and also Mas Adit for my opportunity right now. Before of that, I would like to share my screen. Okay. Is it clear?
Yes, it's clear.
Okay, thank you very much. Before of all, I would like to say thank you for Kriya, especially for having me here. I'm very honored to have an opportunity to discuss and present my idea with all of you guys. And also, I would, to be honest, I'm pretty nervous today because this is a very wonderful place for me to speak and also address my idea about my story and also my experience. And not only because I am the youngest, probably in the lineup of the speakers, I'm also perhaps the beginners one compared to the other speakers, which is very good, very have long experience about their expertise. Anyway, let me introduce myself first. My name is Muhammad Abror. You can call me Abror. I am Indonesian. I currently working as the ambassador of tourism of Provincial of Jakarta, and I'm also the CEO of Bamboo House Indonesia. And today we are going to talking more deeply about the entrepreneurship and problem solving, and also the culture of Indonesia, just a little bit. So here is the outline for today's session. Because of I only have very limited times, I will make it very concise, and perhaps we can more discussing in Q&A session. Well, we are going to talking about the introduction of the entrepreneurship, the basic definition of the entrepreneurship itself. But in this part, I will encourage you guys to be involved in this session, and I will happy to hear your opinion about what is the definition about entrepreneurship and what is actually entrepreneurship in the real life. The second one, we are going to talking more deeply about the entrepreneurial process, actually from my own perspective as the CEO of Bamboo House. And the last one, maybe we are going to talking about the entrepreneurship in Indonesia, the macro image about the Indonesian condition about the entrepreneurship through the data. Okay, before of all, I would like to introduce what is actually Bamboo House Indonesia and what is our vision about our enterprises and our products. So this is actually just a little bit short video. Maybe will give you a brief image about the Bamboo House itself. Okay, well, Bamboo House Indonesia is a startup that strives for a sustainable construction of furniture and home decors production cycle through the utilization of bamboo. And we also conducting collaboration with Indonesian traditional artists in order to creating highly valuable products which made from bamboo, of course. And we try to connecting the people, the customers with directly to the Indonesian traditional local artists. And currently we are have conducting exports to several countries in European continent, and also Australia and New Zealand. So anyway, right now we are going to talking about what is entrepreneur, and I would like to invite you guys to speak up about what is entrepreneurship itself. Okay, Mas Adit and Ahlam, can I invite like maybe two attendants to speak up what is their perspective about entrepreneurship?
Sure. If all of you guys are the participant will want to share about entrepreneurship, you can just open your microphone and also open your camera. Anyone who volunteer it?
Anyone's maybe want to share about your opinion about what is entrepreneurship? Then we have same definition about entrepreneurship in this session. Then we are going to more deeply discuss about the entrepreneurship. Okay.
Perhaps I want to try.
Okay.
Yeah,
Time is
thank
yours.
you. Thank you so much, Mr. Abror and Adit. So I think for me, it will be very simple is that we are able to catch opportunity and to adapt to the constant changing of the market. Yep.
Okay. Okay. Thank you very much, Mrs. Upi. Well, the ability to, catch the opportunity and translate it into entrepreneur and business activity. Okay, this is very good definition. Anyone, perhaps? Okay, I see Bimo Haryoseno.
Thank you. Maybe just a little bit for me. I'm sorry I cannot turn on my camera at the moment, but I think entrepreneurship is more into like the capacity of creativity in developing ideas and creation to solve daily activities and minimize the hardness of like life, for instance. So, and also what Ubi mentioned was right to be able to catch the opportunity of the difficulty in the market itself. That's what I think, at least.
Well, thank you very much, Mr. Bimo. Very comprehensive definition about entrepreneurship, I think. And last one, I see the participants to anyone?
Hello, I'm Hazel Plania from the Philippines. And for me, entrepreneurship is the efficient and effective allocation of resources for innovation that will provide fresh opportunities to the market. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. I would like to underline how do we maximizing the efficiency and creating the products in efficient way. Very good definition, I think. Okay, we are going to more discussing about what is the entrepreneurship itself. Well, for the very basic definition of entrepreneurship, actually you can find it through the academic research and also another article about what is the definition of entrepreneurship. There are three definition which I think is very good for us to little bit learn about the entrepreneurship itself. And actually, the definition of entrepreneur in the academic community still going with a very much debate, but this three definition perhaps will giving us the brief example of what is the entrepreneurship. The first one is entrepreneurship is an act of creating business while building the scaling it to generate a profit. And the second definition, the entrepreneurship is the ability to creating an innovation product that challenge the status quo of how we live and in a daily basis. And the last one is entrepreneurship related to the concept of developing and managing a business venture by taking several risks in the corporate world. In my own perspective, I will more into to the second definition, which say that entrepreneurship is the ability to create and innovate in order to creating products that challenge the status quo of how we live in a daily basis. Well, basically, it is about the concept of the disruption, and we are going to solving several problems in daily basis. And moreover, according to Global Entrepreneurship Monitor, over 100 million business are launched every year. Yeah, according to the data in global data shows that entrepreneurship in every country is rising up significantly every year. This is show how the entrepreneurship have a very crucial aspect in our daily basis. I would like to address several example, particularly from Indonesia. This one is Gojek. Gojek is a startup in Indonesia which become one of the Indonesian unicorn right now. Gojek was established like the late of 2010, and Gojek scaling up very quickly and creating massive job opportunity right now. And Gojek always solve the daily life problem in transportation, actually in Indonesia, and accommodation. And the CEO, one of the notable quotes from the CEO, Nadiem Makarim, that innovation, entrepreneur, it's all about solving the social problem. So when we are going to make a business, when we are going to start a business and we are ready to innovate, the basic perspective that we have to establish is we are going to solve the social problem in specific area. And being an entrepreneur is neither a part-time or full-time job, it is a lifestyle. And entrepreneurship, it means not an end. And good business often born from a deep restlessness. Okay, I will underlining the idea of the good business often born from a deep restlessness. Yeah, this sentences become our value in Bamboo House in order to creating our innovation and also solving the social problem. Well, basically, Bamboo House Indonesia. The commitment of Bamboo House Indonesia is creating and producing products to giving the alternative materials, particularly in our daily life. Because according to BRG, the construction industry is the second largest player after the food industry, which contributes to the global warming. So we very underlining the issue of environment and global warming. So we would like to make a change by utilizing bamboo as one of the alternative materials in order to creating home decoration, construction, and also furnitures in our daily life. Because of bamboo was recognized as an eco-friendly materials, bamboo also have historical roots with Indonesian cultures, easy to found in tropical forests in Indonesia, easy to cultivate it, and not harming forests because not required long time to plant. So we think and we see that bamboo is the very potential materials in order to make alternative materials in our daily life. So this is the picture of our products. We are currently exporting our product to mostly for the Italian market. We have collaboration with local businessmen. We also developing our products based on the demand of European market. And we also developing our social engagement in Indonesia by collaborating with the local farmers to establish a greenhouse for them in order to make a more eco-friendly environment for farming. And also we establish this one is like a base camp for farmers to have a place to learn together and discussion about the further technology which have to implement it in order to improve their own productivity. And we also collaborating with local small and medium enterprises to provide a furniture which this one all of this cafe is made. The furniture was made from bamboo, so we have a commitment to make bamboo not only for the export for the international market, we also provide in the local market in Indonesia. Anyway, there are, and for the next slide, we are going to talking about problem solving and root cause analysis. I think the time is very limited, so maybe we can more discussing through the Q&A session. But basically, root cause analysis is the tools in order to solving and finding the fundamental problems or of a specific issues in our own business or maybe daily life. Root cause analysis focus on 6 variables. First one is man or the people itself, because of human resource plays important roles in every single business and also daily life. Second one is the machine, because in producing certain products, machine become very crucial variables to improve the efficiency and also creating a good quality of products. And the third one is materials. In every single business, I think materials would very crucial, because in certain condition, materials have a fluctuative cost. So we have to think it very deeply. And the fourth one is method for creating or solving the problem. And the fifth one is about the management itself. And the last one is about the environment. So through the 6 variables, we can analyzing more about what is the problem of our own business, so we can find the best solution, and we can solving the specific problem. So I would like to encourage you guys to start your business right now. But there are 3 tips from me if you want to make your business. And yeah, for the young people, the young generation, I think this is the perfect time for you to start your business, because we currently have times, we have energy, we have knowledge, and so on and so forth. So I would like to encourage you to start your own business and find what is your the basic value and restlessness. So you have to focus on solve the social problem, as I said before. The first tips for me is when you going to start your business, basically you have to identify a problem that you feel driven to solve. And the second one is build a creative team. In my own perspective, creative environment will help you to innovate. So this is very important to have a solid team and also creative team. And the last one is you have to determine how you add value to people life. Because we are, as Mr. Turner said before, we are live in the VUCA world. So value added is really important in every single decision, particularly in entrepreneur process. I think that's all from me. Maybe we can discussing more through the Q&A session. Thank you very much. I will giving back to the moderator, Ms. Ahlem and Mr. Adit. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Muhammad Arbur, for this wonderful explanation. We really learned from a lot of things from you, such as how you set your business, with creativity, environment, how you solve the problems by using the Ishikawa tool, which include the 6M material, machine, and etc. And also how you will, by your products, your eco-friendly products, help added value to other people. So it is really wonderful business, and I wish you the luck in your future business. So now we're moving to the next speaker. Please, Adit, can you introduce the next speaker?
Okay, so before we next to the speaker, so we would like to encourage you to ask questions in the Q&A sessions, because as we know that we have a lot limited times during the presentation, so we will use that platform in the Q&A discussions for discuss more about what do you want to know. Okay, for the next speaker, we are moving on the Next speaker's book comes from Malaysia. She was awarded as one of the Forbes 30 under 30 in 2018. I know that you already know who she is. Mrs. Suzanne Ling, the time is yours.
Hi everyone. Good evening, everyone. My name is Suzanne, and thanks for having me today. Thanks for the introduction, Adi. Again, as introduced, I'm Suzanne from Malaysia, and I'm the co-founder for Picha Eats and also Zucchini and Co. So very happy to be here today. So let me share with you a bit on my journey and my stories for everyone to see how can you also come up with business ideas that can solve different problems or encourage your students to be adventurous and just go out there and try things and explore and eventually create new job opportunities for themselves as well. So I just want to time travel a bit back to 8 years ago. How our story started was 8 years ago when I was still in university studying my degree. I was doing a degree in psychology. And at that time, I actually realized that 10 minutes away from my school, there is a refugee learning center with 100 over kids. But unfortunately, these 100 over kids from Myanmar, they are in Malaysia with the status of a refugee, but they are unable to go to public school. So they are just in this learning center where they have no teachers, even though they have tables and chairs and uniform, they have no teachers. Hence, they are just in the classroom, not learning properly. So when I realized about this issue, I started volunteering there as a degree student because it was something that I could teach. It was like a primary syllabus. So I started teaching there as a volunteer every Friday for 3 years in 2013 onwards. And I also started pulling my friends to come and join me and teach together. So after teaching for 3 years, what happened is in 2015, I realized that half of my class here in the photo actually started dropping out in 2015 because they have reached the age of 14 years old and they had to start going out to work in night markets, in restaurants to earn an extra living for their family because they are struggling financially at home. And when that happened, me and my friends started looking more into this refugee issue around the world, and we realized that around the world right now, there are more than 80 million of people who are forced to leave their home due to war, persecution, and danger. They become refugees, they become asylum seekers, and it's a issue that is very large and is actually very close to our home. So in Malaysia alone, we have near to 180,000 refugees. And in Malaysia, because we did not sign a United Nations convention, refugees in Malaysia are not allowed to work. They cannot go to public school, and healthcare is also a problem because they can't work. So it's very hard for them to afford any healthcare. So when my friends and I realized how serious this issue were, we wanted to do something. And at that time, we were still in our university, our final year, my final semester. And we started thinking, hey, since a lot of our students' parents can cook and all our friends in the university need to eat every single day, why not we try to get our students' parents to cook and sell the food to our friends? And that was what we did. So in 2016, me, Kim, and Sweden, we started getting one of our students' mother to cook. We started selling in our university. And from there, after we graduated, we realized, hey, it can actually maybe be a business that can provide an income for many refugee families. So we thought, why not give it a shot and start running it full-time. So that was back in 2016, and it's been 5 years ever since that we are full-time running Picha Eats. And if you are wondering what does Picha means, it's actually the name of this boy right here that I'm hugging. He's the son of our first chef, Ganu, and Picha is actually his name. And we wanted to name ourselves after someone who we started for, and we started for Picha and his family, and we wanted Picha Eats as a name that we constantly remind ourselves that we started for a family like Picha, and we will continue to grow for more family like Picha's family. So that's how Picha Eats came about. And in the last 5 years, what we do is we do group meals delivery. We also have catered to many corporates out there. And I think what I really want to share today is that as educators or as students or whoever you are, whatever position you are at, if you see a social issue that you care very strongly for, always ask yourself what can be a solution. And sometimes the solution can be very simple. And for us, the solution is as simple as getting the moms to cook and getting our friends to buy. That was the solution. It's not complicated. It's not fancy. It's not any technology that I need a coder to code it out. It's literally to the basic of human needs, which is food. And 5 years ago, when we started this, a lot of people asked us. At that time, we were 23 years old, fresh grads, really young. A lot of people asked us, why would people buy from you? Why would people buy food from refugees? Why do you want to start this business? There is so many food out there. And if you've been to Malaysia, Malaysia has so much food. And people were questioning us, why would anyone even buy from you? And that was 5 years ago. And to us, we thought, yeah, why would people buy from us? But we thought, let's give it a shot. If we give it a try and it doesn't work, then it's fine. We can always try again. But in that 5 years, we really pushed really hard on social media. We did marketing as much as we could. We push it out and we start educating people not just about food or social entrepreneurship, but we also started educating people about the refugee issue. And how do we do that? Again, problem solving, right? Because a lot of people, the truth is, a lot of people in Malaysia don't really care about refugees, but they care a lot about food. So instead of me going to them and say, hey, there are 180 refugees here and they are all struggling, can you help them? Instead of me doing that, I shift the whole narrative around and I go to them and I say, hey, this is a super delicious plate of biryani rice. And do you know who made it? It's Chef Rania. Chef Rania is from Syria. And the reason why she came from Syria to Malaysia is because there's a war happening, and that's how we start educating them and start spreading awareness through food. So that's what we've been doing in the past 5 years. And we also take the responsibility upon ourselves to be the voice for the refugee community and to speak out for them and to spread as much awareness as we can about the refugee community. So on our social media, which you can follow us on Instagram, we also always come up with content like, oh, why are they refugees in Malaysia? Why are people from Syria in Malaysia? Because a lot of Malaysians always ask this question, why are they here? Go back to their country. But the truth is they can't go back. There is a war. And if you are in their shoe, you cannot go back as well. So Picha Eats, beyond just helping refugee chefs to earn an income, beyond being a social enterprise, we also want to give a voice to the community. We want to eventually play a part in policy change where we show the government that, you know, refugees can contribute positively to the economy. So that's what we do here in Picha Eats. And again, if you look at the whole business model, it's something really simple. And I think what I really want to highlight is that sometimes a solution don't have to be complicated. Sometimes you see a social issue, the solution don't have to be super complicated. Something as simple as selling food, something as simple as finding what's their strength and matching that strength to a need in the market, that can be a solution on its own. And I think I also want to share, since this is about education, I also want to share that the only reason Picha Eats is around here is because during our university days, we volunteered. So this is another layer beyond education, beyond the classroom, where if you are an educator here in the room, I really hope that you will encourage your students to go out there and explore, because it is all this exploration that will make them who they are. It's beyond just the books and the assignment. It's really all these extracurricular activities, the volunteering opportunities, the exposure that will eventually help them to find out what they want and what they like and what they want to do. And if my friends and I haven't volunteered when we were in university, we wouldn't have started Picha Eats, and I wouldn't be here today speaking to everyone. So that's one thing that I would really want to highlight for educators. And I'm also going to share 3 key things that I have learned in my journey running Picha Eats. Because just to share a bit as well is that in Malaysia, refugees are not allowed to work. So how do we work with refugees is that we really have to be creative. So sometimes creativity is not just arts and paint, right? Creativity also apply in businesses. So just like how Uber and Airbnb run, you know how Airbnb has so many like rooms and listing, but they own none of them. And how Grab and Uber has so many cars and they can fetch so many people, but they they own none of the cars. So that's the concept that we are going as well. So we serve food, but we don't hire any chef. We just partner with them. So we find a chef who can cook, we help them design their menu, we put it on our website, and then we help them to take their order from the client, we give it to them, and then we kind of like share the sales. So that's how we work and go around it creatively. And yeah, it works, thankfully. So I just want to share with you 3 key lessons that I have learned in this journey. The first is to challenge the word usually. What do I mean by challenging the word usually is that sometimes when we share our ideas to people, they will tell you, usually it doesn't work. Or when we told them, hey, well, we want to start Pizza Eats, we want to sell food made by refugees, then people will say, usually corporate won't buy food from small businesses because you don't have like the halal stamp, which we don't have, but there are always ways. We managed to get into a lot of banks, we managed to get into government bodies because there is always way. And last time I remember sometimes we wanted to do an event and they told us, oh, usually it takes 6 months to plan, and we only had 1 month. And we thought, you know what, let's just try. And it pulled off. In 1 month, we put off an event that people say it will usually take 6 months. So I think when we talk about innovation and creativity, we need to break the word usually. If you keep saying usually it works this way, usually it works that way, then there's no innovation because you are not challenging that. So my first lesson is really to challenge usually. When people tell you usually it's like that, try to challenge that back and, you know, form your new usually, create the unusual. And the second one is really to own your decision. So try, learn, fail, repeat, and do it very, very fast. The reason why I say own your decision is because again, when we go on to the journey of innovation and creativity, a lot of times because it's an innovation, there is no answer. Like there is no way you can find an answer because it's something new. So for example, when we started Pizza, for example, let's say we need to decide, okay, do we do marketing this way or that way? We just have to choose because there is no answer that we can refer to because it's something new. It's a new innovative idea that there is not much reference. So we just have to decide on one decision and own it. If it fails, it's fine, try another one. If it happens to be working well, then you made the right choice. And recently I also heard someone share that sometimes we are facing crossroad. We need to make decision between two. And we always dwell in thinking, what should we do? What should we do? What should we do? But the truth is, whichever decision we make, we will never know what another decision will turn out to be. Unless you can, you know, time travel and choose another decision. So the lesson is to just choose one and own it. If you fail, you own the failure. If you succeed, then good for you. So that's my lesson 2, which is to own your decision. And finally, lesson 3, which is definitely, you must find your why. And I think that was what the previous 2 speakers shared as well. You must find your why, to be committed to the why, not the what and the how. Because in the journey of innovation and creativity, you need to be very clear, what are you trying to achieve out of this innovation? And then you find ways around it. But if, for example, if I say that my why is I want a world where there will be no more car accident, for example, and the innovation might be, you know, automated cars, right? Or like everyone can fly or whatever. But if your dream is, okay, I want to create something where everyone can fly, maybe that actually doesn't solve the problem. Maybe another solution will solve your problem, which is to make sure there's no more car accident in the world. So what I'm trying to say is to find your why, and then you innovate towards achieving your why, instead of being so committed to the idea itself that you will, if the idea doesn't work, you will be very, very crushed. So when we started Pizza Eats, one thing that a lot of people were telling us is that you should always be married to your mission, not your idea, because your idea needs to change. When market crashes, for example, let's say pandemic hits, the idea of Pizza Eats was initially to do buffet catering for events, but the pandemic hits and we can't do buffet catering anymore. So if I am married to my idea, I would say, you know what, our idea is screwed. You know, we need to close Pizza now. But we were married to the mission, so we just need to change, start something else, and to achieve that in the end. So that's lesson 3, which is to find the why, be committed to the why, not the what and the how. And that would be my 3 lesson in my journey in Picha Eats in the last 5 years. And I hope that that was helpful for everyone. So any questions, I'll answer it later. Thank you. Passing it back to the moderators.
Your experience is really great. So I just wanna make it line. So the first one lesson is to challenge usually, and then you need to own your
decision.
And then the last one is find the why.
Yeah,
that's great.
Thank
Okay,
you.
so if all of you guys you wanna ask a question, so just ask in the Slido bit.ly/em questions. So don't waste your time, because this is one of the opportunity that you can ask to our spatial speaker. Okay, next.
So thank you, Ms. Suzanne, for sharing your successful project journey. We really learn a lot of things from you. So I hope that the participants still excited, and I believe we are still focused, because the next speakers come from Switzerland, and he is a founder of the World Innovation Forum Foundation, and absolutely he has experience in this field, and he is very expertise. So please welcome Mr. Axel Schultes. The time is yours.
All right, thank you so much, and yeah, welcome also from my side. This is an amazing group. I made a lot of notes, and you know, what's stunning is that, I mean, you know, I think it was somebody said earlier he was the youngest. I'm probably the oldest, but and I founded 4 companies, 2 grow to the $1 billion range, so I'm one of the lucky ones. But I have to say, it's just always amazing to see young people like just Suzanne right now. I mean, this is the perfect example for entrepreneurship. Seeing a problem, jumping onto it, and don't ask, should I not? I don't know, and maybe something goes wrong. No, just do it. And the interesting thing is that, and you will see this, that many entrepreneurs around the world, I mean, the very successful one, actually don't have a degree. Like we heard initially from Turner. I mean, it's good to have education, no question, absolutely not. But it's even better to actually follow your inner drive for something that you're really be up against. And so this is what I'd try to share a little bit is we're running this Ingenuity Cup, and we have been working with about 1,000 startups through my life in the last, 5 or 6 years now. And before that, as I said, started 4 companies myself. And my personal hashtag, my love is to impossible. Similar to what Susanna said, you know, try to think about what is the usual or unusual. Yeah, if people say this is impossible, well, this is for an innovator or for an entrepreneur, this is the trigger word. So I went to my boss, I was about 26, and said, we need to change distribution. He was laughing at me and said, Axel, you're a nice guy, but you're completely out of sync with yourself. Distribution is trade, and trade is a global 5,000-year-old business, and you cannot change it. Okay, it was a bummer, but I realized, well, I at least want to try. I realized it would be a risk because I could fail, but I also realized that the biggest risk is not even trying. And so I started this company, and 6 months later, the company was almost bankrupt. We ran out of money. But there was this one moment where we all of a sudden find a couple customers who prepaid actually. And so we went over the hump and everything was fine. 10 years later, we were about $5 billion in revenue, went public. I mean, did all the great things, then merged with another company, and the combined company is now $37 billion in revenue. But it started with something that is impossible, and we were almost dead, but we still tried, and we worked hard to make it work. And I've experienced this many, many times in my life. And so when I look back, and this goes basically also to all, I would say, yeah, educators, but also to entrepreneurs and those who actually should help entrepreneurs. When I started, I was a very bad schooler, so to speak. I was lazy. Didn't have the attention. I mean, I was everything. There are people said, you know, this guy is a loser. And I felt a little bit like that, but I had this in me that I didn't care. And because I was lazy, somebody said, you know, you got to read Confucius. He said, seeking something you wholeheartedly love, and you will never work a day in your life. And I thought, yeah, Confucius is my man, because I don't want to work hard every day, day in and day out. And so, but immediately I thought, gosh, I mean, yeah, it's nice, but this wouldn't work. You know, I wanted to build a family and so on. I need to work hard because everybody tells me to work hard. But over the following weeks or month, actually it took, I realized if I would do something that I really, really love more than anything else, I would put more energy in this and it wouldn't be work for me. And because of that, it would probably be really, really good. And maybe that makes me successful. And it actually did. I accidentally found an article about microprocessors and I started to dive in. It completely fascinated me. I built one of the early computers back in the 1970s. And so that was the rise, basically, after a couple of years of working for a company, started my own business, and I never actually worked. And I have to say, I never worked hard. And that doesn't mean that, you know, for most of my friends, they can't believe it. I mean, I did 4 exits. I definitely don't have to work in any way or shape. I could lie on the beach and, you know, enjoy my whatever. And I still do stuff like this. We still run Blue Column. We still run the World Innovations Forum because it's my passion. And passion makes success. And I personally believe it's the only thing that makes success. I have 3 friends. They were all bakers in different countries even. They were super successful. They make more money than most other hard-working academics. They love baking bread. They love it so much that they constantly try to improve, make it easier, make it better, make it taste better. One has, I think he has 20 Ferraris in his collection. The other one has, I mean, pictures, you don't want to know what they cost. And it's a baker. You know, you probably heard of the movie stars, but there are probably 50, 100, 200 movie stars in these movie centers. But there are 100,000 who are not successful. But the stars, they don't care about whether they make money or not. Most lose it, actually. They're passionate about what they do. And what I would really love to hear and see, and I've talked to many educators recently, I don't know why it pops up right and left. Make sure that your kids, your students, that they find their passion. This is more value than you can teach them in all the 25,000 hours you teach. If you spend 3 to 4 hours next, you know, simply on your own with your kids, maybe even in the breaks, and try to help them understand what they're really passionate about. Most likely, they don't know at this stage, but there is a chance if they get it in their brain, and I'm sort of a little bit, how to say that, shaded by neuroscience. When we understand how our brain works and how our neural pathways get created, and they get created already in childhood, then we can actually help them to some of the most essential things of life. What is your passion? What is the things that you will do, right? Like Suzanne, they should, okay, this is terrible what's happening in Myanmar. I need to go there. I can do this. I can help. Boom, and she did. That is passion. And when we look further, so I changed the sentence from Confucius a bit, and I said, seek something that you wholeheartedly love, and look for somebody who loves what you do. It's a little twist, but it helped me to understand if I do what I love, but there's a little job to do, I seek people to love what I do. That's the way to make actually money, because we need to survive. We need to buy food. We need to want to feed a family, at least as men we want, and women as well. So there's no difference. So I would like to share a couple thoughts about ingenuity relative to AI and the future in the context of full automation and in the context of education. So the ability to solve a difficult problem, often in original, clever, in intelligent ways, That is sort of the description for us as ingenuity. And intelligent means you think through problems or situations or whatever you do and try to iterate in your mind. When you have learned artificial intelligence, there's something really good. It's iteration. I mean, a friend of mine, he has an engineering office and they're building a new Airbus right now. The new Airbus will be basically from glass. It takes probably a decade until they're ready. But the whole concept is done by an AI system. That AI system rendered 400 million versions until they get to the optimal construction of this new Airbus. We humans cannot do 400 million, but what we can do is even more amazing, and you have to let that sink in. The most amazing thing we can do is build a machine that can iterate 400 million times and build an Airbus. If you think about our ability to build, for instance, AI and to work with our brain, this is the amazing thing. That is far beyond any AI system. You know, we're looking into the universe and we realize because of the waves that we can receive, that there's everything out there is most likely of protons, electrons, and neutrons. Then we know that the proton and the neutrons, actually the protons are even can be split up in sort of quarks, the lower and the higher level quarks, but everything is like that. And this is also when we start to realize, well, then we are actually part of everything, and we are. So some of the metaphysicists actually probably are right. But this thinking alone, how the universe actually is constructed, which is so vast that we cannot imagine the size, gives an idea of the power of our brain. And that is something I would love and hope to see to be developed much further than we do today. Because I have to really agree to Turner, you know, it's content that people put into our brain. And putting content in a brain is the same like you do it in a computer. You put the content in the memory. But it does not say that we're actually working on the CPU. And our brain is the CPU. We only fill memory through the brain, but we don't train the brain. And that is something I personally believe we will see in the next couple decades. So just real quick about artificial intelligence. It is software code. Every AI system is software code crafted by a developer and mathematicians. Now, I have a little granddaughter. She's 4. After about 20 tries, she finds what is a dog and what is an animal and what is a plant and what is a house. After 20 times, it's all in there. An AI system needs a million iterations to find out, this is a dog, but still can't even understand what a dog is. It only sees the picture of a dog. But what humans can is actually create a purpose behind dog. Well, not only the picture, but the functions, the emotions and everything. Now, if we look at processing power, we take about 40 watts to play a game like Go, the board game Go. There was this wonderful contest where a Go player went against an AI system. AlphaGo was the project, and you may have heard of it. Now, for the computer, it takes 20,000 watts to do the same game. So we have 1,000 times less energy consumption to do the same thing, but with way more background, even if we would lose the game at the end, because we can't fast enough take all the combinations, but we understand the game and we understand to build a machine that understands the game. Now, if we look at NVIDIA Jetson Neon, 128 cores. Guess what our brain has? We have 86 billion neuron cells. 86 billion versus 128 cores, and when you compare these two things, we realize that AI is for probably the next 1,000 years not a competitor to the human brain. AI will be the same power like we did in the past. We cannot lift 1,000 tons, but we can build cranes to lift 1,000 tons. We cannot dive 500 meters under sea, but we can build a submarine that goes 500 meters under sea. We can build an AI system that can iterate 80 billion times to a construction that will be an airplane later on. We don't need to do this ourselves. We have the intelligence to build a machine that can do it for us. And so my saying is, don't be shy about machines. Yet, there's something coming at us with those machines that we also need to understand. Your kids, when they are 18, I mean, most of them are very young, they will not have repeatable jobs anymore because this is done by automation. We can automate pretty much anything, and we will, for absolutely many reasons. So what we have, and this is the core of this meeting, the core of the whole initiatives around ingenuity and creativity and innovation, is our natural given superpower is ingenuity and creativity. Unfortunately, in many schools, it's, yeah, we have some classes about painting and handcrafting and so on, but that is not really igniting ingenuity. This is just keeping people busy with painting. And most of the teachers can't even teach how to do that because we have no neuroscience understanding in most of the universities around the globe.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Hi. Wait, let
Hello?
me try and open my camera.
Hello?
It's like a lucky draw. If the connection's good, it's good.
Who is, okay. So then we will go from monotony to ingenuity. And that is, again, something for all teachers to realize. And I'm working with several universities right now, what the next 10 years will do to us and what we need to do to our children. Because they will suffer if we don't help them understand that ingenuity, creativity, understanding life is equally important. I don't say more important, but it's equally as important to understand math, languages, and so forth. And talking about languages, I mean, the world speaks English. We speak English here. If you speak English, you can go around the world, any place on the earth. There will be not everybody speaking English, but there will be people. And so, funny enough, English, and this is what I started to help also our startups, English language capabilities is more important than math and everything else. Because we live in a global environment. We compete globally with others. We buy globally pretty much anything, and we want to sell globally what we have. So if we do what we like and look for people who like what we do, we need to sell it on a global scale because everybody else does that. And if we don't, then our economy will suffer. If you look at South Korea, how fast it grew over the last 20 years, it had to do with the ability to export. If you look at Indonesia, it was the ability to export over the past 20 years that got Indonesia where it is. Basically, it was a poor, very poor country like 100 years ago. Now it's entirely different. Now, when we look at Nepal, for instance, also an Asian country, no ability to export, is one of the poorest countries in the world and will remain there until they learn to export. And I only found this out by looking into the list of export per capita. And when I saw that list, I thought it's a list of the richest countries in the world. And it's almost identical with very, very fine differences. So I realized that export capabilities is basically sending productivity into other countries and they buy from us for whatever we need, for whatever they need and whatever we produce. The beautiful thing is when we look into Europe as a European Union, that all countries sell to all other countries and all countries were rising while they do that. That is probably the most intriguing discovery from the last basically 25 years of the existence of the European Union. That it is not what people think. Well, if I export and get your money, then I make you poor and me rich. No, everybody grew. as long as we are productive and share our productivity in a unique way. So like we buy pretty much all the oranges now from Spain, all the leather from Italy, wine and other things from France. In Germany, we buy all these things, but we sell cars. We can't do oranges, we can't do leather very good, and so forth. And so ingenuity means also building something that is valuable for the world, because it will drive the economy of your country. And when we built the World Innovations Forum, the first thing I wanted to understand is what made the developed countries, and why even within Europe or within or around the US, some countries did and others did not. And the interesting thing is, it's the productivity. It's actually what humans made 12,000 years ago. We went through a very important change. 12,000 years ago, we understood that if we plant our grains into the earth step by step and make a whole field, we can build, or we can grow more corn than the people who did that actually can eat for themselves. And with that, our very first growth of prosperity started. It started in Egypt and in the countries around Egypt. So it was learned later on by the rest of the world and so forth. So when we look at that, I believe we need to come to the conclusion that we will build more automation. We will build more robots and AI. It will come. It's not the robot or the AI that kills jobs, because these jobs are not worth, our biggest value as humans to waste, for repeatable jobs versus for ingenuity and creativity. When you look into a kindergarten, then you will notice one thing around the world with no difference, whether this is in Rwanda, Africa, whether this is in Nepal, Asia, whether this is in any city or state in Europe or in the US or in Latin America. The kids are, running around, they're happy, they have fun with, even if they have nothing, they find a stick, they find the stone and do something crazy and begin to develop actually creativity. That creativity is killed as soon as it comes. The kids grow, don't be so loud, don't do this, don't do that. The don't word is basically the killer of all societies around the world. And so disruptive education is one thing that drives me probably more than anything else. And it is in the context of innovation and ingenuity, because only innovation will basically need more people than we actually have on Earth. If we want to solve all problems on Earth, which we should and we could, then we need everybody who work on that. And we don't need repeatable jobs and waste, powerful energy of our brains for things that, stamps or, producing things from early in the morning till late at night. We kill people. It's almost, in 500 years, we will look back and said, why did we enslave all these people? Well, we probably didn't because we didn't want to, and they didn't know other, and also we needed those repeatable jobs in order to build what we built and what we have today. But we have also time now to shift again, like 12,000 years ago from the Industrial Revolution, like 200 years ago from the Industrial Revolution. We need to get back, one step further and disrupt basically education. And so I invite you to recognize all those people who did amazing jobs before us, those people who did all the pollution on Earth. They didn't do that because they want to pollute the Earth. They did do that because they think this was right. We figure out, well, it wasn't right, but it also wasn't wrong because we needed that progress. Inspire people who unleash ingenuity and creativity whenever possible. Whether it's teams in your company, whether it's in the family, whether it's children, whether it's friends. I think this is what humans are naturally more than anything else, is ingenuity and creativity. and then, I mean, simply support those who dare to make a change. I mean, we learned since 5 million years that change is a risk, but I think we have survived so much. We're not eaten by tigers anymore. We're not actually starving to death because, you know, the world is globally in a hunger situation and so on. We got so far, so we don't need to hang on to those old habits. And change is something that we probably need to do. Because one day, I mean, this is now a little bit super sci-fi maybe, but one day Earth will be not the place where living beings will remain. So we know that, whether it's an asteroid, whether it's the sun, whether it's any of these, you know, universal catastrophes. But we have given one thing, and this is ingenuity and a very, very eager mechanism to stay alive. And I think one day we will move away from Earth, and we're nature's best bet to do that, because we can fly to Mars and we can take theoretically all living things with us. As I said, this is far future, but I think it justifies that we do something wrong and we fix it later on to go to the next level. Thank you very much. If you're interested, join World Innovations Forum. I'll put basically the URLs maybe in the chat box real quick. Let me just go back here. Where's my chat? Oops. And if there are any questions or anything, you know how this works in this group. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Axel Schultz, for this information. And you really encourage us to not give up to our passion, because it is like the source of the creativity. And also we learn the intelligent artificial intelligence, and how we can build the machine and putting content into memory. Also we learn that the English capabilities is the very important to deal with the people worldwide. Also for the country to become more developed, it should like have export capabilities, and also we should build something that give the world something new and something really in need. And also thank you very much. And now I think we come to the question and answer session. So open your camera if you would like to ask any question for the documentary.
Okay, feel free to ask. So if you want to have questions, you can type your questions by using this link, bit.ly/en questions, with the format, your name, country, and also your name, speaker that you want to ask, and then your questions. Okay, so no further ado, we go to the questions from Slido. Upi, you can share your screen.
So we already have some questions here. So we will start from the question, who be Indonesia, Suzanne? I really love the idea behind Pizza Eats. When you first started this initiative, what is your biggest challenge that you face? So this is the speaker is addressed to Suzanne. Suzanne, are you here?
Yes, I am. I think the biggest challenge that we face in the beginning is we were starting off from university, so we didn't really have any business background or basic business knowledge even. But I think what was great was there were a lot of people who were very helpful. So what we needed to do was to try to reach out to those with experience and tell them that we have this idea of starting this business. And a lot of people ended up becoming mentors for us, even until today after 5 years. So what I would say is you will be facing a lot of challenges in terms of sales, marketing, and then managing people, operations. It's a continuous journey of facing more and more new challenges. But what I would really advise is to find mentors who can walk you through, who can advise you, who can help bounce off ideas. And that was what was really helpful for us. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you so much. So to Alex, would you mind sharing the simplest way to enhance creativity, ingenuity at full-time moms, because during pandemic we learn together with kids at home? So this is question for Alex. Alex Schultes, please.
Yeah. So I think there's a couple things. I mean, one of the things, particularly with kids, the creativity and the ingenuity, so to speak, is already there. So we don't probably need to enhance it even. The one thing that most kids realize and experience is that parents, you know, they simply, I mean, it's fully understandable. I mean, I have 4 kids and I understand when they always ask question, what is this and why is that and why is that, you know, you get tired. And one of the things that we simply did is when we told the kid, you know, so sorry, we're tired, but let me answer this maybe a little bit later. To the contrary, if these questions don't arise for whatever reason, you probably can take a topic every day randomly. You know, you may look in a book and point on a word and say, hey, do you actually know what this is? And instead of teaching them, maybe asking them what they think, what it could be. And then when you realize, okay, you need to tell something, then make them participate in this idea process. Because as soon as they're actively participating, there's 2 things that happens. Number one, they feel that they are taking serious. It's not like you teach or they learn, but they actually participate. And number 2, they start to think, what could it actually be? And this is something that is for smaller kids not easy, but you know, one day they come, and so that's probably my answer. But I'm not an educator and a specialist in this field. This is sort of basically what we try to do with our kids.
Thank you, Mr. Axel Schultes. So for the question from Kisno from Indonesia. So this is the question addressed for Mr. Turner. What is your opinion about mental and mindset change for educators in the disruptive area? And what about the conservative ones?
So thanks for the question. Well, I think first and foremost, human beings don't really like change, right? We tend to be, we have a lot of momentum trying to get out of our own comfort zone. So when you're dealing with change, especially for education, we first need them to get out of their comfort zone. And the only way to bring people out of their comfort zone is they need to be aware that there are changes outside of their country. Now, there are, maybe I should put it this way, within a country itself, when you are speaking to educators, you may be speaking to, you may find really, really difficult to find someone who understands or who can share your sentiments about what is really happening and how we should change education. But you are definitely not alone when you go out and you attend conferences about education innovation, like ISTE or maybe ESERA. Then you will find really all the academics or as well as teachers on other countries, they are together and they are all talking about how change is relevant. So my take to your question is that do not be disheartened, because you are constantly surrounded by people who have not seen what is actually happening out there. You persevere, and then eventually you will meet someone, or you will get to a platform now with technology. You can easily find platforms where you can share ideas, cross-platform, pollinate ideas, and eventually you will be able to move those that are really, really conservative. Just do your part, and I think that is enough, because everybody does their part, and then eventually the system will move.
Yeah, Mr. Sternerland, thank you so much for your answering the question. So let's move to Rabab Nazar. Mr. Abrur, thirdly, maybe some national Indonesian laws may not allow to cut so much bamboo. So how you deal with these matters in your business?
Okay, thank you very much, Ahlam. First of all, I would like to address about the current research about the bamboo for utilization in our daily life. Yeah, most of research say that bamboo is compared to other materials. It's more eco-friendly because of at least three main reasons. Because of bamboo would easily to be replanted and requires short period to to harvest the bamboo itself. So there is no very significant problem when we using bamboo, as long as we creating a sustainable cycle for the material itself, and how we constructing the bamboo as the alternative materials. The second one is when we are utilizing bamboo as daily needs, it's arguably using very low energy, because and according to several research show less carbon outcomes from when we are using bamboo as the alternative material. And the last one is bamboo was recognized as one of the easy materials to decompose. So we think that the bamboo itself have a very potential materials to creating a sustainable material. So this one could be our effort to find the best way how to we can make a sustainable cycle for the beginning of the process until at the end of the process. And currently the law of Indonesian not restricting for using bamboo in certain numbers, but of course in a very huge number. I think it will become the problem, not because of the not only because of the law, but of course we will distracting the environment, and also the local landscape of the rainforest in Indonesia. And how do we overcome this problem? We establish a collaboration with local farmers in order to make a sustainable cycle of the material itself. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Muhammad Abrur, for answering the question. Again, a question addressed to Sir Turner. What would you say is the most important attribute of a contemporary educator? How can we maximize learning through the virtual space?
So
Go ahead,
I am
Mr.
going to,
Turner.
thank you. I'm going to define contemporary as someone who is evolving, not someone that is young in the service. So I think the important attribute of an educator is we should always we should always be reflective. We should always ask ourselves in the delivery of our lesson of the day or for the week, is there a better way to deliver or improve our teaching and learning? And through this question, as you constantly ask and you constantly innovate and search, is there a better way to present myself, or is there a better technology to get feedback from the students? Through this, then you are staying abreast of all the new and technologies or the new ways of teaching. So I personally feel that we should have an open mind, and we should always be willing to learn, right? So how can we maximize learning through the virtual space? So this is something that really hit everybody hard and fast. I think the buzzword now, the very big word now people are talking about is instructional design. So we want to ask ourselves the question, when we are designing a lesson, and we have certain steps to follow when we are doing the lessons face to face. But when we put this lesson is it just enough to convert it purely, step 1, talk to the students, step 2, watch video, step 3, give homework? Do we just repeat these 3 steps in a platform, in a virtual platform? Can we solicit the same amount of attendance, the same amount of attention from the learners? So I would say that it's very important that we put some extra thought into the way we design the lesson so that we can capture their learning or their emotions or their questions there and then. A very, very powerful tool for face-to-face learning is the fact that the teacher can look at the face of a child and just say, oh, I think this child is not understanding. That's why we ask questions to zoom in immediately. But the thing is, when you're watching a video, I mean, a teacher can't possibly watch 40 videos at the same time. So we may have to think of, are there little snippets, little questions that we can put in at every maybe 3 or 5 minutes of the video, such that the child can answer. And if it's correct, then we know that they have learned and we can move on. Or if not, would you want to then recommend the child for extra, where is the part that is missing and so on? So that is another thing which I think we have to put a conscious thought into the delivery of the lesson itself.
Thank you, Mr. Sternerland. Because we don't have enough time, so maybe this is the last question. Question addressed again to Ms. Suzanne. What would you say in your GBOS challenge with holding an online initiative like PChats?
I think you mean biggest challenge holding an online initiative as PChat.
Yes.
I guess online. I think in the online space, definitely is to like in the online space, there's so many other content going on. There's so many other businesses that is running ads. So I think the biggest challenge is to attract attention online. And I think the good thing is that with the power of social media, you can really reach out to a lot of people. So I would suggest, if you are facing the same struggle, I would suggest that you be as creative as you can. If you don't have big budgets for to win in the online space, then go creative and go think about what kind of content that attracts you. Like, for example, it might be 9gag, it might be some funny platform. I'm not sure what is it for you, or you might be scrolling TikTok all the time. So think about what kind of content attract you and think how can you use the same kind of psychology to attract people to your brand as well. So I would say being online, the challenge is it's so saturated. There's so many things. So how do you stand out? Yeah. Thanks for the question.
Thank you, Miss Suzanne. Yeah, we have just 9 minutes. So yeah, let's continue the questions. So question again to Sir Mohammed Abror. I love your initiative, sir. How is your process to speak to the client and send to them abroad? Go ahead, Mohammed Abror.
Well, thank you. Thank you again, Ahlam. How do we approach the potential buyers or customers? Perhaps in very simple way, I would say there are 3 steps for doing that. First thing, that we need very rigid identification of potential customer through market research. We are conducting the market research both in academic, and also we are interviewing several businessmen and trader in international community that in specific countries such as Italy in this case have a very high demand on, like, I would say, exotic products from let's say from Southeast Asia, like from wooden or bamboo or rattan and so on and so forth. So the first thing when we are going to approaching the potential customer, we have also to conducting a strong market research for doing that. The second one is we are also conducting and joining international community regarding to this sector, and also we are joining international expo to giving us a big picture about how people needs and from which country that demand will come from. And the last one is the utilization of social media. As Suzanne said before, through the power of social media, we can spread the message throughout the global community and very easy. And I would say this is the low cost effort in order to, exposing our own products and our initiative to the global community. I think there are 3 steps, at least very simple. And I believe in every single business entities doing that things. But for me, there are 3 most powerful effort for us to approaching international customer. Thank you.
Thank you, Sir Mohammed Abrur. So maybe I will let Adit, my partner, to continue the questions.
Okay, so for the next questions addressed for Sir Axel. So there are 2 questions. So for the first one, how are we able to be childlike again with the society the way it is with all the standard? Is it possible to be creative for now? And then how can AI help refugee crisis around the world? Because she was thinking about Miss Suzanne campaign, and maybe that would be a good solutions to solve these problems.
Okay, so for the first one, I think it's an interesting question because it touches 2 very different aspects at the same time. Entrepreneurs are people who break rules. I mean, they do break. They say, okay, this, what we all understand, like we cannot reach, let's say, more than light speed. Entrepreneurs would try to break that rule, even though the rest of the world understands that is the right thing and physically there's a borderline. Now, if we want to be childlike, we need to have, so to speak, we dare to need to be just childlike. Blah, 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 blah. No problem, Usually you would not do that, but if you are up to, why not? And in some cases it might be funny, in other cases it might be embarrassing, but if you find it's this right time to do that, the very same thing like entrepreneurs, then break those social rules. I think, I hope it helped a little bit. On the AI side, I think this is a way more complex problem because AI, and this is one of the things why AI isn't as wonderful as we think today, is taking amazing data from the internet, cobbling up back and forth and inside out, writing algorithms to use situations and standards and what have you to solve a known problem. But if we have more variables than actually facts, and the problem is not only not known, but the root cause is not known, then an AI system or an AI developer would have a lot of unclear inputs into the neural network, and this is very, very difficult to come up. What an AI system cannot do is understand purpose. We can understand math, but we cannot understand purpose. And even we humans, if we ask ourselves, what is the purpose of life? Woof, okay, what is it? Very different answers. Nobody really knows. We can speculate and so forth. The same in this very political situation, because the refugee situation is a political situation. We can only or possibly use it by finding out what the best possible economic circumstances are for different types of countries. There is one scientist, unfortunately passed away from Harvard, Clayton Christensen, and he made an amazing speech about disruption, innovation, and also the fact that we have a high degree of corruption in the lower level countries. And he said, and I can fully subscribe to that, he said, we cannot fight basically corruption. Corruption is a mechanism where people in the politics and in the upper layers of the society start to do everything possible because they're so poor to at least support their family. And if corruption is a model that is available, and it is always available, even in the most developed countries, if you are not powerful enough yourself to drag you out, then you use corruption. We cannot fight corruption. But what we can do is we help those countries to actually get up in the food chain and be more successful. And since we know that success comes from entrepreneurship, so we need to help countries to be successful on the entrepreneurship side, despite all the trouble we have on the political side. It is a very complex project, and I would say, yeah, it is definitely worth trying, because we may find the root cause of, or the situation basically between the root cause of corruption and the reasons how to get up to speed. And if we find this in a way of a mathematical concept, then we actually be able to tell, the politicians in those countries what they could do to be more successful for themselves first. Sounds very absurd, but if we can help them to be more successful, then they may actually trickle down to the population, get them more successful, even though we basically help those who caused it in the first place. I mean, we really have to rethink, but yeah, it's a fascinating project we could or should do. Yeah.
Okay, that's great.
Okay.
Okay, so for the next question for Sir Turner. So this is interesting questions. What are 21st century skills that students must learn to bridge from school to work?
I think the most important skill, okay, so if we talk about 21st century competencies, there are many reports that are talking about critical thinking, creativity, problem solving, communications, innovations. So it's all very generic, in my opinion. It's all very generic, right? So most education systems, they do put an emphasis on the fact that, oh, my curriculum teaches critical thinking. My curriculum teaches communication. My curriculum teaches this, my curriculum teaches that. But what is important to me is what you teach. Is there a disjoint between what you teach and what the world needs, or what the my area now, which I'm really interested is the fact that how can we bridge the disjoint between the academic world and the industry? So I'm not sure whether you are aware, but then when you speak to many industry leaders, they always say that, oh, when the graduates finish university, I need to train them again because they are not ready for work. That shows a very, very big problem that we have in the academic world, really, because you are teaching them things, I don't know whether it's skills or content, which is not preparing them for the real world out there. They have to undo and learn and relearn. So to answer your question, I would think that the number one differentiating factor between humans and robots is the fact that is to empathize. Are you able to put yourself into the problem and say that, oh, this is how I make use of the existing skills, existing knowledge, existing competencies, existing coding, whatever, right, to solve this problem that I need? If my boss says, Turner, I need you to write an algorithm, or I need you to think of how to solve this problem, do you have the initiative to actually go and research? And then I say, oh, yeah, I need this, I need to make that. Let me share a real anecdote with you, right? So there was this fresh grad from university, and then she went to apply for a job. So there were 6 applicants at the job. So the boss was like, okay, now there's a toy on the table. Can you please download the app for this toy and then tell me what you think about it? So all 5 were busy downloading the app and playing. Only one student, right? The lady, she was there, and then she was just sitting there and looking at the boss. So the boss was like, oh, do you know about the game? I mean, do you know this? What is your feedback? Her answer to the boss was, oh, my phone has no more memory. What do you need me to do? I think it tells a very different story, is that you are not at all interested in the job. You are definitely displaying no urgency, no initiative. You do not even know the basic etiquette of deleting something, an ad, so that you can free up the space. So I think in such a context, what is actually important is actually the empathy. Do you really know why you are there in the first place before you even talk about that? Now, moving on, as the world progresses, as technology progresses, the world will become a smaller place. An Indonesian graduate is not enough just to work in Indonesia. You need to collaborate with people all around the world to solve a problem. So you also need to have that cultural awareness. For example, when you want to work with people in Spain, you need to understand that they do siesta. At 2 o'clock, if you email them, they will tell you, I'm sleeping. Can you please come back at 5 o'clock, right? So these are things that we really need to put ourselves. A robot cannot do all this. To me, I'm sorry, I was a bit long-winded, but I needed to bring that across. There is no specific answer, but generally we need, this is a set of skills that we are looking at. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So I think this is the last questions, and also this is the questions from Otman Charmoka. So he asked about how can educators help students to be more creative, but also I want to address to give our speakers to give some sentence like to encourage our participants to be more creative, and also especially to solve their own problems. So the time is yours for all of the speaker.
So what order are we going? Are we going to take the same order of the speech?
So you answer the questions about how can educators help students to be more creative, but also you can add some encourage for our participants, like how to be more creative and something like that.
So personally, I think if you want to do something different, you must not be afraid to fail. You must be open to people laughing at you. You must be open to, it's okay. This is what I want. I'll just do it. You laugh at me, it doesn't matter. I try. If it works out, it's good. If it doesn't work out, I'm sorry. I did my best, right? At least you can live yourself. You can face the mirror and say, I did my part. So I think importantly is we need to, although people always talk about having a safe environment, safe is how you define it. As long as you are strong in yourself and you say, okay, I want to do this, I tried and I'm good. To me, that's good enough.
Okay, maybe for Sarah.
Yeah, I just posted a YouTube video. It's an interview with David Eagleman. He is a neuroscientist in Stanford. And it's very interesting because he explains in almost layman terms how our brain actually creates ideas, creativity, and what actually happens in our brain. Because every idea is basically a physical moment of connections and chemical reactions. And if we understand better how the brain works, we begin to understand why certain inputs, whether it's teachers or anything else, don't resonate, and why they resonate, when they resonate, and how we can actually help to guide people from a non-resonance, so to speak, to resonance. And as soon as we understand more, and so I think neuroscience is probably the next big thing. I mean, even though I hate this term, but it's probably the next big thing in our society to understand how we actually think. If creativity and everything around it is our real number one unique ability, then we better understand how it's actually done. And if we do, and this is what I did for the last 4 years, I mean, I was blown away what I learned, even in my age, so to speak, about how things get done in our brain. And that is a major starting point, I believe, for every instructor and tutor and an educator to understand how this works. Because when we do, we understand how to learn, and we understand that learning and listening and thinking and creating is all the same process in our brain. We do a lot of other things, but this is all the same because it deals with the situation from the outside, makes comparison with what is already in there, and then forms a relationship that it can spit out through our mouth and fingers and so on. And so there's a lot of learning, and I think it, we can argue a lot back and forth what instructors and teachers and educators should do and not do. They will or will not resonate again, and particularly those where we think, okay, they're too old, they're not really adapting anymore. They probably are, but we also learned that if our brain is addressed in the right way, we can change every brain. And not I mean, like in the negative way, like brainwash or so. The brain changes itself if it does the right things. So it's a powerful way to basically start there, I think.
Okay.
Okay, I would to add something. I definitely agree with Mr. Turner and Mr. Axel about how do we have the ability to creative and innovative. In my own perspective, to be able to make a creativity, innovate, and solving several problems, it's not come from the first glance. I think all those abilities should be trained, and as young generation, our role is to try to explore something that we didn't know before. And as young generation, I think we have to make a very practical step and start with the baby step, and ready to evaluate, and to be honest to yourself whether it's good or not. And the last one is let's live our life, I think.
That's great.
Cool.
Maybe Miss Suzanne, you want to add some?
I think on my side, as highlighted during the sharing earlier, I think whatever it is, new things, creativity and innovation, I believe that if we are not afraid to try things, that's where new innovation can happen. So just take the step, try it. If you fail, it's fine. Just try, fail, learn, and repeat really, really fast. So that would be what I want to say.
Okay, thank you so much for all of the speaker and also the participant who want to ask questions in the Q&A sessions. So we are almost at the end for our sessions. Before we officially end it, let's take a group selfie. So for all the participants, we would like to ask you to open your camera so that we can see you and we can take a group selfie in this event. Okay, so everyone, please open your camera. Okay, wait.
Okay, thank you everyone. And we will take the pictures in 3, 2, 1. Say cheese. Cheese. Okay. One more time. 3, 2, 1. Say cheese. Okay. Thank you very much, everyone.
Okay, thank you so much.
So for all the participants, you will have the opportunity to receive an e-certificate for your participation in this event, and we will share a link in the comments. So just click on that link and complete some questions to give feedback for some improvement that we need to do for the next Educators Meetalk. And please, once you are done, you should expect to receive your e-certificate via email directly after submitting your form. And we would like to give you 2 minutes to fill out the feedback form and start from now. So go to the link that we're sharing on the chat, please.
Okay. Hello, are you already done filling the feedback form?
Uh,
Filling.
so I think that 2 minutes is already left. So thank you so much for spending some time filling out the feedback form. And your feedback will help us to evaluate the effectiveness of the session and allow us to make improvements. Thank you again.
Okay, so we will wait until everyone fill the form. Okay, so we will waiting for the rest of who have still filling the form. So maybe there's some volunteer who want to. I want to. Actually, I want to ask some more participant to express your thought or comments about the session. You can share, or maybe you can raise your hand and then you can open your microphone and open your camera, because I just want to know about how opinions about this event, because as we know that we have a lot of knowledge here, new knowledge from our experts. So maybe some of you want to volunteer to open your camera and then express your opinion. Anyone?
I'd like to go to Miss Hazel. Can you please share your thoughts and what did you learn from this webinar?
Good evening, everyone. I have learned a lot from today. I actually have my notes here.
That's great.
For me, the webinar was extremely informative, and all I hope is that there will be more because it is really motivational. And I really like what our fourth speaker said, Mr. Alex, that we should seek what we wholeheartedly love, and look for someone who love what we do. So that's my highlight. That's the highlight of what I have learned for today. And also another one is the world is speaking English. So if you know how to speak English, then you can go around the world and go globally. And I also like that one because it provides a lot of opportunities and it is very wide and timely. That's all.
Oh, that's great. Okay, so actually, we will have another sessions about educators Meetalk. So you just stay tuned in the Korea global social media. maybe in IG or in Facebook or in LinkedIn. So maybe we will have another educators meetup sessions. Okay.
I just want to add, I just want to thank everyone everyone, the speakers and all of the organizers, and for letting me be one of the participants for today's event. Thank you so much. It is a great pleasure.
It's our pleasure too.
Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Hazel.
Okay, so we would like to say thanks again to all of the speakers about your informative, interesting presentations, and also to all the participants for your active participations. So hopefully this session will be beneficial for everybody.
Can I speak something?
And we are glad
Sure.
with you again. Yeah.
Hello, everyone. I'm from Pakistan, and besides an informative session, it had been an exposure for me and culture exposure. I got to know that bamboo is a cultural value in Indonesia, and secondly, I used to think that Pakistan is a developing country, so it is facing multiple issues like in the sector of education. But when I took the session of first speaker, I came to know that these are global challenges, and all nations, despite either developing or developed, are all struggling to extract creativity out of education and are working harder to get their education sector get more authentic. So thank you so much. It was well managed and it was authentic all along. It was beautiful. Thanks a lot.
Okay, there's one more who raised your hand, Marjorie Riponte. So maybe you can share your thought.
At the end of this seminar, I can say that creativity, initiative, and innovative are the competencies that needed in this modern era just to survive and to solve different problems and challenges in our lives. That would be all. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Okay, so for the certificate, we will send it by email. So make sure that all of you already fill the feedback form, which is bit.ly/feedback meetalk SA, and you gonna type your name and then also your email, and then send a feedbacks for us. So we will send it soon. Thank you so much. Okay, so we are glad to meet all of you again in our next online session. So stay tuned on the Kriya social media. Thank you for your attention. We really hope to see you again in the next Educators Meetup. See you. Let's collaborate. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everyone, for attending this webinar, and we hope to enjoy it together today. And I really want to thank all the participants and all the speakers, and really want to see you again in our next Educators Meetup. Thank you again, and like my partner said, stay tuned on social media of Kriya. Thank you so much.
That's great. See you soon in the future.
See you.
Thank you very much for very informative webinars.
Our pleasure.
Welcome.
Thank you very much from the Philippines.
Thank you so much. Thank you for the seminar. Thank you.
Thank you. Good night. God bless.
Thank you so much for this beautiful
Good night, God bless.
then okay, it's already.
Are we still live on YouTube?
Oh yeah, I don't know. Why? Wait.